Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Quinn here and I'm back with another awesome YouTube video. In today's video, I will be teaching you guys how to create and format your tables in Microsoft Word. But as usual, before we get into it, please remember to like the video if you love the content, subscribe if you're new, and to turn on that notification bell to be alerted whenever I post the next video. Also note that the instrumentals for this video have been provided by InnerSanctum Entertainment Ltd. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So you guys should already know what a table is. A table is simply when you display information in like a grid format. So a table consists of rows and columns. Now rows run from left to right and columns run from top to bottom. And of course, where a row and a column meet is where we have a cell. So now that we have a basic overview on what a table is, let's get right into how we can create tables in Microsoft Word. So the first thing that we would have to do, of course, is to open up Microsoft Word. So let's go ahead and do that.
Start window. Search W. Word. Document 1-Word. Document page 1 blank.
Awesome. Now I'm just gonna put a simple heading on my page before I put my table. So let's put the words my table.
M-Y space T-A-B-L-E. Heading 1 style. Outline level 1.
Now to create the table, first you want to go to where you want the table to be created. So I want this table to be created under this heading. So I'm going to go to the end of the line.
Carriage return.
Then I'm going to press enter to go into a blank line under it. Now, in order to create a table, these are the steps. First, you would press your Alt key to go up into the menu.
Ribbon tabs tab control collapsed. Home tab Alt, H2 of 10.
Then you would use your right arrow to go over to the Insert tab.
Insert tab Alt, N3 of 10.
Then you would use your Enter to select it and tab until you get to the Table option.
Lower ribbon grouping. Insert grouping. Pages grouping. Blank page. Page break but. Tables grouping. Table collapsed. A table is a great way to organize information within your document. Alt, N, T.
Then you would press Enter here.
Table data grid. 1x1 table grouping. 1x1 table 1 of 80.
Alright, so you realize that it says table data grid and it also said 1x1. Now what this places you on is a grid in which you'll be able to use your arrow keys to select how many rows you want in the table and also how many columns you want in the table. Now by default, it automatically has it set to 1x1. Now that is 1 row and 1 column. So if you were to press enter here, it would only create a table with 1 row and 1 column, which means it's 1 cell. So it would be like 1 box. So the way how this data grid works, in order to increase the amount of columns you want, you'd use your right arrow. And if you want to decrease the amount of columns, you'd use your left arrow. So let's start out by creating a 4x3 table. So that's 4 columns and 3 rows. Now it's currently at 1x1. In order to increase the amount of columns, I would use my right arrow. So I would go ahead until it says 4x1.
2x1 table 2 of 80. 3x1 table 3 of 80. 4x1 table 4 of 80.
Awesome. Now I want it to be 3 rows. In order to increase the amount of rows, you would use your down arrow. And to decrease the amount of rows, you would use your up arrow. So let's press our down arrow until we see the 1 change to 3.
4x2 table 14 of 80. 4x3 table 24 of 80.
So I now have the amount of columns and the amount of rows that I want in my table. So once you have selected the amount of rows and columns that you want in the table, you would press your enter key to create it.
Document table with 3 rows and 4 columns, row 1 column 1 page 1.
There you go. And when you create the table, you see it automatically places you in row 1 and column 1. If you didn't already know how to navigate a table, this is how it is done. With NVDA, there are some keystrokes that are set to navigate within a table, so from cell to cell. Now I'm currently in row 1 column 1, which should be in the far top left of this table. So if I want to go over to the cell beside this one, which would be me moving over to the column on the right, I would use my Control, my Alt, and my right arrow. Because with NVDA, your Control, your Alt, plus one of your arrow keys moves you to a different cell in the table in that direction. So let me press that.
Column 2.
There we go. So if I continue pressing it,
Column 3. Column 4. Edge of table, blank.
And you realize when I get to column 4, it says edge of table because we only had 4 columns in this table. Now, let me do Control Alt down arrow and see where it stops.
Row 2. Row 3. Edge of table, blank.
There you go. And it stops there because there are only 3 rows. Alright, so let me now navigate back up to the first row and the first column in this table.
Column 1. Row 2. Row 1.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do in this table is to start inputting some information. So in this first row here, I'm gonna put in some column headers. So let's put name in this first one.
Cap N A M E.
Then let's go over to the one to the right of it.
Column 2.
Then let's put age.
Cap A G E.
Let's go to the one to the right of this.
Column 3.
Let's put gender.
Cap G E N D E R.
The one to the right of that.
Column 4.
And let's put country.
Cap C O U N T R Y.
Alright, now let's navigate back over to the name column.
Column 1 name.
Then let's go down to the cell below it. So that's my Control plus my Alt plus my down arrow.
Row 2.
Alright, now let's put in some names. So let's first put in Mark.
Cap M A R K.
Let's go to the cell below this.
Row 3.
Awesome, now let's put our next name.
Cap M A R Y.
And that is our last name because remember we already had a row with the column headers and then 2 rows with the names in it. So that completes our 3 rows. Now let's go over to the age column.
Age column 2.
Awesome, and you realize that it announces to you the header of the column. Now let's put in Mary's age.
1, 2.
Then let's go up to Mark's age.
Mark row 2.
So you realize that it also announces to you the name in the rows when you move from row to row. So let's put in Mark's age.
2, 3.
Then let's go over to the gender column.
Gender column 3.
Let's put in Mark's gender.
Cap M.
Go down to Mary.
Mary row 3.
Then let's put in her gender.
Cap F.
Now let's put in Jamaica for Mary's country.
Country column 4. Cap J A M A I C A.
Then let's go up to Mark's row.
Mark row 2.
Then let's put USA.
Cap U, Cap S, Cap A.
Awesome, so now our table is completely filled out. But what if I created a 4x3 table at first? And then I realized, oh, I need another column or oh, I need another row. What would I do in that case? Well, let me show you how to do it. First, let me show you how you would insert another row. The first thing you would do is move to a row directly above or below where you want to insert that row. So, let me move down to Mary's row.
Mary row 3 Jamaica.
Now I want to insert another row below Mary so that I can be able to add another person in this table. So in order to do that, I would press my applications key.
Cut unavailable, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. T.
Then I would down arrow to where it says insert.
Copy, paste up, smart look, synonyms, translate, insert collapsed I.
Press enter.
Insert columns to the left, add a new column directly to the left of the current column. L.
Right now I want to insert a row under the row that I have with Mary. So I'm going to down arrow to the option that says insert row below.
Insert column, insert rows above, insert rows below, add a new row directly below the current row. B.
Then I'm going to press enter.
Document 1-Word. Document selected.
Alright, so it says document selected. Now I'm going to use one of my table navigation keys to see where I am currently positioned. So let me use my Control Alt and left arrow and see.
Table with 4 rows and 4 columns, row 4 gender column 3 page 1. Unselected.
Alright, so you realize that the table now says a 4x4 table. And because I was in the last column of the table when I added the new row, I was placed within the last column of that new row. So I'm going to continue to use my Ctrl Alt left arrow to go over to the name column.
Age column. Name column 1.
Alright, now let's add another person's name. So let's put Sandra.
Cap S-A-N-D-R-A.
Let's put in her age.
Age column 2. 5. 4.
Let's move over to gender.
Gender column 3. Cap F.
And lastly, let's put in her country.
Country column 4. Cap B-A-R-B-A-D-O-S.
Awesome! So that is how you would insert a new row. Now what if you wanted to insert a new column? Let's say I want to insert a new column right after name. So I would go back over to the name column.
Gender. Age column. Name column 1 Sandra.
Then I would press my applications key.
Cut unavailable, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. T.
Then down arrow to insert and press enter.
Copy, paste, smart, synonym, insert collapsed I. Insert columns to the left, add a new column directly to the left of the current column. L.
So I want this column to be in between name and age. So I'll down arrow to the option that says insert column to the right. Then press enter.
Insert columns to the right, add a new column directly to the right of the current column. R. Document 1-Word. Document selected.
Alright, so now it only says document selected. So in order to know where I'm currently positioned, let me use my Ctrl Alt left arrow.
Table with 4 rows and 5 columns, row 1 column 1 page 1 name. Unselected.
So it's currently in the name column. And you realize that it now says 4 rows and 5 columns. So let's use my Ctrl Alt right arrow to go over again to see what column that is.
Column 2.
So you realize that this column 2 has no heading because that's a new column that we created. And if I use Ctrl Alt right arrow again.
Column 3 age.
There you go. So this column has been placed right in between the age and name columns. But what if you had created a row or a column and now you realize that you don't want it again? You want it to be deleted. In order to do that, first you'd have to go into the row or the column that you want to delete. So let me go over to that empty column that we created.
Column 2.
Then, once again, you would press your applications key.
Cut unavailable, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. T.
Then you would down arrow to delete.
Copy, paste, smart, synonym, insert, delete cells. D.
Then press enter.
Delete cells dialog. Shift cells left radio button checked, Alt plus L.
In my case, I want to delete this entire column. So I'm going to down arrow until I find that option.
Shift cells up, delete entire row radio button, delete entire column radio button checked, Alt plus C.
So if it was a case where you were in the row that you wanted to delete and you wanted to delete that entire row, you'd press that delete entire row option. But right now I am within that empty column and I want to delete it. So I'm going to press on delete entire column.
Document 1-Word. Document table with 4 rows and 4 columns, name row 1 column 2 page 1 age.
And if I do Ctrl Alt left arrow.
Column 1 name.
So there you go. You see that the column has now been deleted. The next thing I want to show you guys how to do is to merge columns. What if you have a table and you want to give the table a major heading at the top as well? And you want to be able to merge all those columns together in order to make one cell to put your heading. This is what you would do. So if you don't already have an empty row at the top of your table, in my case, I'm going to have to insert a new row. So I'm currently in the first row of my table and I want to insert an empty row above that to put my title for my table. So I'm going to go ahead and press my applications key.
Cut unavailable, remove.
Then down arrow to insert.
Copy, paste, smart, synonym, insert collapsed I.
Then press enter.
Insert columns to the left, add a new.
Then down arrow to the option that says insert row above.
Insert rows above, add a new row directly above the current row. A.
Then press enter.
Document 1-Word. Document selected.
Alright, now let's use my Ctrl Alt up arrow to hear where I'm currently positioned.
Edge of table, blank.
Alright, so now I'm currently within the first row of the table, which is now that empty row. Now let me Ctrl Alt and left arrow to make sure that I am in the first column of that row.
Column 3, column 2, Column 1.
Now here is my trick for merging cells. In order to merge cells in Microsoft Word, first you would select them, then press your applications key and press the merge cells option. But in our case, we are not seeing the table in order to use our mouse to select the cells to merge them. So this is my trick. And you can do this with either numbers or letters, anything that you want to do. What I do is that I put a letter or a number in each of the cells that I want to merge. Then I go across selecting those letters so I'm sure that those cells are selected. Then I can go ahead and merge them together. So in this case, let's use letters. So right now I am in the first column of the row that I want to merge. So let me put the letter A.
A.
Then I'll use my Ctrl-Alt-Right arrow to go over to that next column.
Column 2.
Then let's put my letter B.
B.
Then Ctrl-Alt-Right arrow again.
Column 3.
Then put my letter C.
C.
Ctrl-Alt-Right arrow.
Column 4.
Then let's put the letter D.
D.
And remember that this was the last column in the table, so we can stop here. Now what I'm going to do is to go back over to that first column.
Column 1A.
Alright, now I'm going to start selecting. So I'm going to press my home key to go to the front of the A.
A.
Then I'm going to select using my shift and my right arrow until I get to the letter D.
A selected. Selected. B selected. C selected. D selected.
Now press your applications key.
Remove the selection and put it.
Then down arrow until you find an option that says merge cells.
Copy, put a paste, insert, delete, merge cells M.
Awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and press enter on this.
Document 1-Word. Document selected ABCD.
Alright, now if I should move to the cell below this and come back up to this cell, you would see that they are in the same cell.
Row 2. Row 1, column 1 through 4 ABCD.
And now you realize that it says column 1 through 4. So it has indeed been merged. And in a case where you merged cells and you want to split them, once in that merged cell, you would press your applications key again. Then you down arrow to an option that says split.
Copy, paste, smart, synonym, insert, delete, split cells. P.
And you'd press enter on this option to be able to split them. And it will give you a dialog where you'd put in the amount of columns to which you want to split it to. And you'd be good to go. Now there are some other options within this applications menu as well. So let me continue to down arrow.
Border styles collapsed format specific borders in your table using a common style or one that you recently applied. You can also use the border sampler to copy the formatting of an existing border and apply it elsewhere.
So if you want to put a specific border on your table, you can use this option to do it. Now let's down arrow again.
Text direction. X.
Now this is the option that you'd use to determine your text direction. So say for instance you wanted your column headers, so name and age and stuff like that, to be diagonal within their cells. So you'd either select all those column headers and then come to this text direction option, or you can go into each of those column header cells and do them one by one and then choose the text direction that you want. Let's go down to the next one.
Table properties. Show the table properties dialog box to change advanced table properties, such as indentation and text wrapping options. R.
Alright, so this is the last table option in here, table properties. Now let's press enter on it and see what comes up.
Table properties dialog text wrapping alignment size left center right none around. Preferred width : checkbox not checked Alt plus W.
Alright, so when you enter this table properties dialog, you are automatically placed on the options for the whole table. So the first thing it says now is preferred width. Now let's tab through the options and hear what it says.
Left radio button checked Alt plus L. Indent from left : edit Alt plus I selected 0 . None radio button checked Alt plus N. Borders and shading. Button Alt plus B. Options. Button Alt plus O. OK button. Cancel button. Tab control. Table tab selected Alt plus T.
Alright, so those are all the options within the table tab. Now you realize that it says tab control, table tab selected. Now here is where you can move on to the other tabs in the dialog. So you can use either your left and right arrow keys. But right now we're on the first item in the list, which is the table tab, which is furthest to the left. So we'll move to the others by using our right arrow.
Row tab selected Alt plus R.
So first, let's go through the row tab. So let's tab through the options.
Specify height : checkbox not checked Alt plus S. Allow row to break across pages checkbox checked Alt plus K. Repeat as header row at the top of each page checkbox not checked Alt plus H. Previous row button Alt plus P. Next row button Alt plus N. OK button. Cancel button. Tab control. Row tab selected Alt plus R.
Alright, so you're seeing different options there. And if you want to set a specific height for your row, you can go ahead and do that there as well. Now, let's right arrow.
Column tab selected Alt plus U.
Now, let's tab to go through the options within the column tab.
Preferred width : checkbox checked Alt plus W. Previous column button Alt plus. Next column button Alt plus N. OK button. Cancel button. Tab control. Column tab selected Alt plus U.
Alright, now let's right arrow again.
Cell tab selected Alt plus E.
And let's see the options for this.
Preferred width : checkbox checked Alt plus W. Preferred width : edit selected 5.29 . Measure in : combo box inches Alt plus M. Top radio button checked Alt plus P. Options. Button Alt plus O. OK button. Cancel button. Tab control. Cell tab selected Alt plus E.
And let's right arrow to see if there are any more tabs here.
Alt text tab selected Alt plus A.
Alright, so there's alt text. And we as screen reader users should know what that is already. So now let's tab to hear what it says.
Title edit Alt plus I blank.
So you would put in the alt text there.
Description edit multi-line Alt plus D blank. Table properties dialog alternative text titles and descriptions provide alternative text-based representations of the information contained in tables, diagrams, images, and other objects. This information is useful for people with vision or cognitive impairments who may not be able to see or understand the object. A title can be read to a person with a disability and is used to determine whether they wish to hear the description of the content. OK button. Cancel button. Tab control. Alt text tab selected Alt plus A.
And let's see if that is the last of the tabs. So let's press my right arrow again.
Table tab selected Alt plus T.
So those are the different options that you can change within the table properties. Now let's escape out of this.
Document 1-Word. Document table with 5 rows and 4 columns. Row 1 column 1 through 4 page 1A.
Alright, now there are some more options that you can go through relating to the table. First, you'd have to press your Alt key to go into the menu.
Ribbon tabs tab control collapsed. Home tab Alt, H2 of 12.
Then use your right arrow to go over to the Table Design tab.
Insert, Design, Layout, Reference, Mailing, Review, Viewed, Help tab, Table Tools grouping. Design tab Alt, Y, JT 11 of 12.
Then press your Enter key.
Lower ribbon grouping. Design grouping. Table style options grouping. Header row checkbox checked display special formatting for the first row of the table. Alt, Y, JT, A.
So that's self-explanatory. Now let's tab through the other options.
Total row checkbox not checked display special formatting for the last row of the table. Alt, Y, JT, T. Banded rows checkbox checked display banded rows, in which even rows are formatted differently from odd rows. This banding can make tables easier to read. Alt, Y, JT, R. First column checkbox checked display special formatting for the first column of the table. Alt, Y, JT, M. Last column checkbox not checked display special formatting for the last column of the table. Alt, Y, JT, N. Banded columns checkbox not checked display banded columns, in which even columns are formatted differently from odd columns. This banding can make tables easier to read. Alt, Y, JT, U. Table Styles button quickly change the visual style of your table. Each style uses a unique combination of borders and shading to change the appearance of your table. Hover over a style in the gallery to preview it in your document. Alt, Y, JT, S. Shading split button RGB left paren, 0, 0, 0 right paren, collapsed change the color behind the selected text, paragraph, or table cell. This is especially useful when you want information to jump off the page. Alt, Y, JT, H. Borders grouping. Border styles split button collapsed format specific borders in your table using a common style or one that you recently applied. You can also use the border sampler to copy the formatting of an existing border and apply it elsewhere. Alt, Y, JT, G.
So this is the same border option from where we press Store Applications key. Let's continue.
Pen style combo box single solid line collapse change the style of new borders. Alt, Y, JT, L.
Alright, so the current style for the borders is now at the solid line. So you know you can go through here and change that. Next.
Pen weight combo box 1/2 PT collapse change the width of new borders. Alt, Y, JT, W.
And right here you can choose how thick you want the border to be.
Pen color split button RGB left paren, 0, 0, 0 right paren, collapse change the color of new borders. Alt, Y, JT, C.
And here you can choose if you want your border to be blue, red, white, any color you want it to be. Next.
Borders split button collapsed add or remove borders from your selection. To change the look of the borders, check out the options on the Table Tools Design tab or use the Borders and Shading dialog box. Alt, Y, JT, B. Border Painter toggle button not pressed apply formatting to specific borders in your table. To change the look of the borders you are applying, use the Style, Weight, and Pen Color menus. Alt, Y, JT, P. Borders and Shading. Button explore additional border options, such as line color and line width. Alt, Y, JT, O.
So this basically just opens up a dialog that just has everything to deal with the borders. And that is it for the Table Design tab. Now let me press my escape.
Design tab Alt, Y, JT 11 of 12.
There is also one more tab to do with the table, and that is the Table Layout tab. So let me right arrow to that because it should be right beside the Table Design tab.
Layout tab Alt, Y, JL 12 of 12.
Then I would press enter on it.
Lower ribbon grouping, layout grouping, table grouping. Select collapsed, select the current cell, row, column, or entire table. Alt, Y, JL, K.
Alright, now this is the option that I wanted to get to. So you see a while ago when we did the trick when I wanted to merge the cells at the top of the table and I wanted to merge that entire row and I did the letter trick to be able to select it and to merge them. You could have also come up here to the table layout, press enter on select and choose select entire row and then went to your applications key and press merge cells in order to merge them. But if it's in a situation where say the table has 4 columns and you only want to merge 2 of those columns together, in that situation you would use my letter trick or my number trick, whichever one of them you choose to use. Now let's tab to the next option.
View grid lines toggle button not pressed show or hide the grid lines in the table. Alt, Y, JL, TG.
Alright, so if you check this checkbox, it will show all the grid lines of the table. So where each cell is separated, where each row and where each column is separated, as well as a line around the entire table itself. Alright, so let's tab.
Properties. Button show the table properties dialog box to change advanced table properties, such as indentation and text wrapping options. Alt, Y, JL, O. Draw grouping. Draw table toggle button not pressed design your own table by drawing the cell, row, and column borders yourself. You can even draw diagonal lines and cells within cells. Alt, Y, JL, TA. Eraser toggle button not pressed remove specific borders in a table to create merged cells. Alt, Y, JL, SE.
So we're seeing some other interesting options in here. Continue.
Rows and columns grouping. Delete collapse delete rows, columns, cells, or the entire table. Alt, Y, JL, D.
So this is the longer way to get to the delete option. Continue.
Insert above button add a new row directly above the current row. Alt, Y, JL, A.
And you see this is the longer way to get to the insert options as well.
Insert below button add a new row directly below the current row. Alt, Y, JL, B. Insert left button add a new column directly to the left of the current column. Alt, Y, JL, L. Insert right button add a new column directly to the right of the current column. Alt, Y, JL, R. Insert cells. Button show the insert cells dialog box. Alt, Y, JL, I.
And this button will just open a dialog with all of those insert options that you saw above this. Continue.
Merge grouping. Merge cells button unavailable merge the selected cells into one cell. Alt, Y, JL, M.
This is the longer way to get to the merge cells option.
Split cells. Button split the current cell into multiple cells. Alt, Y, JL, P.
And the same for split cells.
Split table button split the table into 2 tables. The current row will become the first row of the new table. Alt, Y, JL, Q.
Alright, so this is an option that you can use to set the table into two separate tables. So what you would do is to go into the row that you want to be the first row in the second table. Then you would come to this option and press enter on it. Let's go to the next option.
Cell size grouping. Auto fit collapsed automatically resize the columns in your table. Set your columns to be the same width as your content or choose for your table to stretch across the page. Alt, Y, JL, F.
And here you can come to be able to adjust the cell size. Now tab again.
Grouping set the height of the selected cells. Table row height spin button set the height of the selected cells. 0.75 quote edit selected 0.75 quote.
Alright, so any cells you have selected, or if you're currently just focused in one cell, you can come here to set the height.
Grouping set the width of the selected cells. Table column width spin button set the width of the selected cells. Edit blank.
And you can do the same here for the width.
Distribute rows button distribute the height of the selected rows equally between them. Alt, Y, JL, UR.
Continue.
Distribute columns button distribute the width of the selected columns equally between them. Alt, Y, JL, UC. Properties. Button show the table properties dialog box to change advanced table properties, such as indentation and text wrapping options. Alt, Y, JL, O.
And here's the table properties button again.
Alignment grouping. Align top left toggle button pressed align text to the top left corner of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, TL.
So here, when you have some cells selected or you're in one cell, you can choose where to align the text within that cell.
Align top center toggle button not pressed center text and align it to the top of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, TC. Align top right toggle button not pressed align text to the top right corner of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, TR. Align center left toggle button not pressed center text vertically and align it to the left side of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, CL. Align center toggle button not pressed center text horizontally and vertically within the cell. Alt, Y, JL, CC. Align center right toggle button not pressed center text vertically and align it to the right side of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, CR. Align bottom left toggle button not pressed align text to the bottom left corner of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, BL. Align bottom center toggle button not pressed center text and align it to the bottom of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, BC. Align bottom right toggle button not pressed align text to the bottom right corner of the cell. Alt, Y, JL, BR. Text direction button change the text direction within the selected cells. Click the button multiple times to cycle through the available directions. Alt, Y, JL, G.
And here is a longer way to get to the text direction option. Then continue.
Cell margins. Button customize cell margins and the spacing between cells. Alt, Y, JL, N. Data grouping. Sort. Button arrange the current selection in alphabetical or numerical order. This is especially useful if you are trying to organize data in a table. Alt, Y, JL, SO.
Alright, so when you have some cells selected, you can be able to sort your table based on that data.
Repeat header rows toggle button not pressed mark multiple rows as header rows. If your table spans multiple pages, the header rows will appear on every page for easy reference. Alt, Y, JL, J. Convert to text. Button convert the table to regular text. You can choose which text character to use to separate the columns. Alt, Y, JL, V.
And this option I've used regularly as well. What I would do, I would go to the select option, select the entire table, then I would come to this convert to text option. Now this would take out all the text out of the table and just put it like regular text in a Microsoft Word document, so it will no longer be in rows and columns. So let's go to the next option.
Formula. Button add a formula to a cell to perform a simple calculation, such as average, sum, or count. Alt, Y, JL, UL.
And this last option in this layout tab is formulas. So just like what you do in Excel, when you know you'd have sum and average and stuff like that, you can use a formula to be able to do some calculations for you. And that is it, guys, for tables in Microsoft Word. So thanks for whoever suggested this table video. I'm sorry I don't remember your name at this moment, but it was an awesome suggestion and this video is finally finally here. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you guys, and I'm sure you guys are gonna let me know down in the comments if it was helpful to you. But as usual, before we close out the video, remember to like the video if you love the content, subscribe if you're new, and to turn on that notification bell to be alerted whenever I post the next video. Also, some new updates. I have now created a Facebook group, and you can feel free to join, share your views, and keep updated when I post new videos, and when we have new releases out and new updates, you will be updated on there as well. So the link to join my Facebook group will be down below in the description. And also remember that I have a website where you can go ahead so you can have access to all my YouTube materials and resources and their transcripts, and you can hire my services as well. So if you are in need of services such as one-on-one tutorials, you can hire me there, or audio editing or web development. So that is it guys for this video. Hopefully once again you enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.